My boyfriend wanted to marry his best friend for military benefits, so I broke up with him and also told his best friend about that. And then he cut his. 19 female, have been dating my boyfriend, 21 male, for just about a year now. He's in the army, so we've been long distance for most of our relationship. It hasn't been easy, missed birthdays, late night calls that ended in tears, counting down the days until the next visit, but we've made it work. Or, at least I thought we were making it work. We've talked about the future, even marriage. I've always imagined that one day we'd find our way back to each other in the same city, maybe build a home together once I finish college and he finishes his service. That's why what happened this week threw me so completely off balance. A few nights ago, he called me like he usually does. We were catching up, talking about small things. I told him about a new book I was reading. He told me about how awful the food was again, and then, out of nowhere, he drops this. So, John and I were talking we might get married. I laughed. Like, full-on laughed. I thought it was a joke. But then he kept talking. He was dead serious. He started explaining that he and his best friend and roommate, John, 22 male, have been talking about getting married, strictly for military benefits. Apparently, married soldiers get extra pay, a housing allowance, and can move out of the barracks and into a house. Their current living conditions aren't great. He described the barracks as bug-infested and miserable. I get that it sucks. I really do. But then he said, if I marry John, I can move into a house and you could visit more easily. I could even help pay for your plane ticket. I sat there on the other end of the phone in silence. I didn't even know how to process what I was hearing. He was genuinely talking about legally marrying his male roommate, not because of any romantic or emotional connection, but for the perks. I'm not even mad about it being John. That's not the issue. I don't think there's anything romantic going on there. But marriage? That's supposed to mean something. At least to me. I try to keep calm, but I told him flat out that it felt incredibly disrespectful, not just to me, but to what we've talked about for our own future. I reminded him that I'd been working since I was 16, and while I'm taking a break this summer before college starts, I've saved responsibly. I can pay for my own plane ticket if I need to. I appreciated the gesture, but I don't need him to marry someone else just to make my visits easier. He kept saying he wanted to help, wanted to do something nice for me. I told him there are better ways to be generous than entering into a legal agreement that could come back to haunt us. I asked, what happens when we're ready to get married, and now you have a divorce on your record? What happens if someone finds out, and you get in trouble? He brushed it off, said, it's not that big a deal. And then he laughed. Like, really laughed when I said, so what? You're going to be a divorced man by the time we get married? His response? You can just be my sexy side piece while I'm married to John. I felt like someone had slapped me. That wasn't romantic. That wasn't funny. That was hurtful. I don't know if he thought he was being playful or edgy or whatever, but it wasn't okay. I've spent the last year trying to show up for him, loving him from a distance, being patient, being supportive, dealing with all the challenges that come with dating someone in the military. I've never asked him for anything. I've never made him feel like he wasn't enough. And now I'm being told that while he plays house with his best friend, I get to be the side piece? As if I'm just some optional accessory to his plan for comfort and financial gain? Since that call, I haven't really known what to say. I haven't brought it up again. I'm still trying to figure out if I'm being overly emotional, or if this is a huge red flag waving right in front of my face. I want to believe he meant well. I want to believe he's just tired, stressed, and looking for a solution to a hard situation. But the lack of awareness, the casual way he mentioned marrying someone else, the jokes, the way he made light of something I take seriously, that's what's breaking my heart right now. I don't think he fully understands what it felt like to hear that. That he'd rather enter into a fake marriage than just wait a little longer for us to have a real one. That he doesn't seem to grasp how painful and complicated that could make things down the line. And that in doing this, he's risking more than just a military housing upgrade. He's risking us. I love him. I really do. But I don't want to be with someone who sees commitment as a bargaining chip. Who makes me feel like a second choice, or a backup plan while he builds convenience with someone else. So now I'm sitting here, just weeks away from starting this new chapter in my life, college, a new city, new people, and I'm wondering if maybe he's not the person I thought he was. Or maybe we're just not on the same page anymore. I've never been the kind of girlfriend who worries about my boyfriend looking at other people. I've never felt insecure in that way with him. Not with girls, not even with John. I really don't believe he's attracted to John like that. I've always trusted him. But that's not really the problem here. I have my own reasons for not liking John, and honestly, this whole situation is just throwing those into sharper focus. For starters, John has a reputation. I'm not saying that to be petty or jealous. I'm saying it because it's true. This is the same guy who, not that long ago, was bragging about hooking up with a married woman. Like it was some sort of achievement. That alone made my skin crawl, but my boyfriend just kind of laughed it off at the time. Said, "That's just John being John." But it's not just that. John drinks too much and he smokes, and while my boyfriend doesn't always go along with it, I've seen the difference when he does. He usually declines, to be fair, unless it's some special occasion or he's super stressed. Which, okay, I get it. Everyone needs a break sometimes. But when the person you love is being influenced by someone who doesn't seem to care about boundaries or consequences, it gets hard to just stay quiet. Lately, I've been feeling like I'm coming second in a relationship that's supposed to be about us. Like today, when my boyfriend called me to drop the whole, "Hey, I might marry my best friend" bombshell. We were mid-conversation when John called. And my boyfriend didn't even hesitate. Just said, "John is calling," bye, and hung up. "No, I love you." "No, I'll call you back later." Nothing. And that was hours ago. I still haven't heard from him. And it hurts. Not just the abrupt ending to the call, but the pattern that's been emerging. I feel like I've been watching him slowly prioritize John over me without even realizing it. Like I'm the one waiting for scraps of attention while he builds this weird partnership with someone who doesn't even seem like a good influence. And now they're talking about getting married for benefits? I get that military life is hard. I've been trying to be supportive from day one. I've done the long-distance thing. I've stayed up late to take his calls. I've made plans to visit even when it wasn't convenient. I don't need a luxurious setup to feel close to him. I just need him to actually want to build a future with me. Not with his buddy from the barracks who just happens to help him get a nicer place and some extra pay. I told him flat out today, if he actually marries John, I'll break up with him. And I meant it. Not because I'm trying to make him choose or play games, but because I can't be someone's real partner while they're literally married to someone else, even if it's on paper. That's not a relationship. That's a joke with real consequences. Part of me is wondering if this is just him spiraling. His grandfather just passed away yesterday. Maybe this is his way of coping, trying to make quick changes, looking for control in a chaotic situation. I want to be sensitive to that. I really do. Grief does weird things to people. But even still, this feels off. Like a red flag dressed up as a life hack. He says he loves me. I believe him. I believe he wants to marry me one day. But if that's true, then why is he willing to complicate that future just to make Barrick's life a little easier for the next few months? Why would he risk what we're building for a shortcut? Honestly, I don't even know what to say to him if he calls back. I feel so confused and kind of insulted. I want to be supportive, but I also want to be respected. And right now, it feels like he's not even thinking about what this means to me, to us. I didn't sign up to be the girlfriend of someone who makes marriage jokes while seriously considering giving that title to his drinking buddy. I signed up to be with someone who wanted to build something real with me. Is that too much to ask? 2 days later. I'll keep this short. I broke up with him. It hurts more than I expected, even though I knew it was coming. I think deep down, I was still holding on to this tiny thread of hope that maybe he'd come to his senses. That maybe, when faced with the reality of losing me, he'd realize this idea of marrying John wasn't just ridiculous, it was insulting. But that didn't happen. We had a long, messy conversation yesterday. I laid everything out clearly. I told him exactly why this whole fake marriage idea made me uncomfortable, not just uncomfortable, but straight up disgusted. I explained that getting married for military benefits isn't some harmless loophole, it's fraud. If they got caught, it wouldn't just be embarrassing, it could seriously screw up both their careers. I even told him how it made me feel, knowing he was willing to give that title, husband, to someone who wasn't me, like it was just a contract, like it meant nothing. I told him I would have married him, if he asked. And yeah, maybe that would have been dumb at our age, maybe it would have been impulsive, but it would have been for love, not for free housing. Not to get out of a few bugs in the barracks. And he just didn't get it. Or maybe he didn't care.
He went off on me.
Said I didn't understand how crappy the barracks are, that I don't know what he's dealing with, and that he's doing it for us. For me. So he could save money. So he could fly me out to visit. As if I didn't already have savings. As if I asked him to marry his best friend for me.
It wasn't about me.
Not really. At one point, I asked him straight up, how would you feel if I said I was going to marry one of my guy friends for benefits? And his response? If you had a good reason and it would get you an actual benefit, I'd be fine with it. Like what? I realized right then how different we really are. I believe marriage means something. I believe love is something you protect, not something you sideline when it's inconvenient. He clearly doesn't see it that way, or worse, he doesn't value me that way. So I told him. I said if he really planned on marrying John, then I was done. That I wasn't going to be his side piece, his emotional support girlfriend while he played house with his roommate. That I wasn't going to wait around and pretend it didn't matter. And do you know what he said? Okay, then don't. No hesitation. No, wait, let's talk about this.
Just that.
So I said fine, hung up the phone, and blocked him everywhere. I haven't looked back. I'm not going to lie, I cried.
Hard.
I really loved him. I truly thought we were on the same page. I imagined a future with him. Real marriage, a real life together. I supported him through so much, gave him all the grace I could. But I guess when it came down to it, I just didn't matter enough to him to do the same. It sucks. It really sucks. But I'm glad I found out now before wasting more time on someone who didn't value the same things I did. Before I let myself get any deeper into a relationship where I was constantly second place to his friends, his convenience, or his excuses. I deserve more. And walking away was hard, but I know it was right.
So yeah.
That's how it ended. Not with a bang. Not with some big dramatic fight. Just with me choosing myself. Finally.
So yeah.
That's how it ended. Not with some screaming match or dramatic tears. Just quiet finality. Just me, standing there, holding my phone with my heart racing and my stomach in knots, listening to him say, okay then don't. Like it meant nothing. Like I meant nothing. I don't know what I expected. Maybe a pause. Maybe for him to realize that what I was saying wasn't some empty threat. It was the line. The boundary I was drawing not to hurt him, but to protect me. I thought maybe he'd finally step back, take a breath, and see how far he was pushing me away. But no, he didn't even try. After I hung up and blocked him, I just sat there for a while. I didn't even cry at first, I just felt numb. Like the air had been sucked out of the room, and I was sitting in the aftermath of something I couldn't quite name. There's this weird, hollow silence that settles in after you finally walk away from someone you imagined a whole future with. I had our life mapped out in my head, the visits, the milestones, the proposal that I hoped would come one day soon. And then in the space of one phone call, it all cracked and crumbled. Eventually, the tears came. Not just because I missed him, but because I was mourning the version of him I thought I knew. The version who said he wanted to build a life with me, who talked about our future like it was real, who used to make me feel seen and safe. But that version didn't line up with this guy who would rather marry his roommate than listen to me, who would joke about me being his side piece, like my love was some disposable afterthought. And maybe that's what hurt most, realizing how casually he could toss around something that was sacred to me. Marriage, loyalty, us. These weren't just ideas I entertained lightly. They were commitments I took seriously.
And he didn't.
Looking back, I can see the signs. The little moments when he prioritized John over me. The times he brushed off my feelings or cut calls short. The way he let someone who smokes, drinks, and cheats influence him, while I was the one holding things together from miles away. I excused so much because I loved him, deeply, sincerely, and I thought that love meant something. But love without respect, without shared values, without consistency, starts to feel like a one-sided game you slowly realize you're losing. So yeah, it ended. Quietly. Painfully. Finally.